I'm not trying to be mean today, yo. I promise I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to be efficient and honest, and I don't want to waste a lot of your time. But I'm going to talk to you guys very quickly about three ways that I think that LeBron, Shaq, and Barkley have embarrassed themselves. I mean, really epically embarrassed themselves over this whole Kyrie Irving situation. So anyway, as you guys come in, I want to just reiterate. I've been talking about Kyrie Irving a little bit recently, like a lot of people have, mainly because this whole situation has really bothered me. I was sitting down and I went and I sat down today for a while with the GOAT, Dr. Claude Anderson, and that's Dr. Anderson now sitting there, and he was actually giving me instructions on how to fly an airplane. I've been going to flight school, and he's like a father to me. I love this guy, and he's one of the great economic thinkers of all time. He's also one of the greatest historians of all time. And Dr. Anderson and I were talking about this whole situation with Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie, as you know, he retweeted a documentary on Amazon, which hopefully will become a bestseller, called From Hebrews to Negroes. And effectively, as soon as Kyrie did that, they put the beat down on him. I talked about it a lot yesterday, so I'm not going to rehash it all because this is meant to be a very quick video, and so I'm going to make this quick. But basically, Kyrie has been getting beaten like a field slave. The Brooklyn Nets have basically told him to do everything except call himself Toby. They have told him that they're going to take his money. They're going to take away his dignity. He has to go and get all this re-education. They're treating him like he's a dumb little boy. And we know that this is all crazy. Give me a yes if you think this is ridiculously hypocritical. I mean, just the fact that Jeff Bezos, the person who runs Amazon, no one said anything to Amazon. No one said anything to Bezos about this documentary. But for some reason, they're literally telling Kyrie Irving what he is not allowed to retweet. I don't know. Give me a yes. Am I? I hope. I wonder if we're on the same planet. This is unbelievable. This is an absolutely outrageous situation. So I want to focus specifically on a couple of real interesting dudes in this game: LeBron, Shaq, and Barkley. And the reason I put these images up is, because there's an agenda, right? There's an agenda to emasculate the black male, and there are some of us as men that go right along with the agenda, and there's some of us who buck against the agenda. Some black men just say, "No, I'm not doing all that." And you have some black men that don't care. They care about getting the bag. They'll do whatever they got to do. They'll be whatever kind of clown they have to be, and that's kind of what tends to happen. That's what divides us, unfortunately. So back to Shaq, Barkley, and LeBron. These guys, it's so interesting. In case you don't know, Shaq, Barkley, and LeBron went out of their way to go after Kyrie. I think Shaq and Barkley both called him an idiot on TNT. LeBron went out of his way to issue some statement about I don't tolerate hate speech no matter what. And da da da. Okay, I hear all that, and you have a right to think what you want to think. But how many of you? Give me a yes or no. Give me a yes or no. How many of you believe that Shaq, Barkley, or LeBron even watched the documentary before they made their comments? How many of you believe, give me a yes or no. How many of you believe that Shaq or LeBron or Barkley even watched the documentary? I mean, they were speaking real confident about hate speech. I don't tolerate hate speech. This is stupid. This is it. Well, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, Negro? You get your ass back in the barn, boy. What you doing, boy? You gonna get us in trouble, boy? No, we know that they didn't watch it. So basically, you were talking tough about something where you didn't even know what the hell you was talking about. I mean, let's just put aside the fact that Kyrie has a right to retweet whatever he wants. You can't hold every person. You don't fire people from their jobs because they shared a post. That's insanity right there. That right there is crazy enough. That's the second part of it that's crazy. If Shaq and Barkley, LeBron, all these guys, if they had any ounce of sense in their brain, they could have easily just said, you know what, um, I didn't see the documentary, so I'm not prepared to make a statement on it. I know Kyrie, he seems like a nice guy. But I also believe that as a fundamental human liberty, you shouldn't be taking away a guy's livelihood because he hit the retweet button. Like you could literally, like, see, y'all need to call me. I would work with any of you guys, and I'm not trying to make fun of you. I promise. Sometimes I get mean when I get pissed, and right now I'm a little bit pissed. I'm sorry. You just bringing it out of me. I don't understand why you couldn't just call me and I can advise you on how you can respond to these things without looking like a complete idiot. And I'm not making fun. I'm sorry. Sometimes I do that, and I get abusive with the language, and I don't, and that's not my intention. I don't think these guys are all bad, but Lord Jesus, must we always be the first ones to line up and pull out the whip, pull out Master's whip, Master's whooping your fellow black man in front of you because this is a butt breaking exercise. I mean, this is a butt breaking exercise. This is straight off the damn plantation. This is where they would take that whatever slave came out the strongest, they would deliberately make a public spectacle and an example out of him, specifically so they could control the other slaves. This is history. Look this up. Go read Dr. Claude Anderson's books. Read Black Labor, White Wealth. Read Powernomics, and you'll know the history. So this is a tradition. This is Kyrie's not the first one. So the thing about it is that you have the other guys sitting there watching, and so what they then do is they'll go find another Negro employee to cover for their anti-black behavior. Their belief is if I can get another black person to co-sign on my abuse, then no one's gonna call me a racist. So what intelligent black people can understand is we know the discernment. We understand that in many cases, some of the most anti-black, most racist behavior is perpetrated by black people. Just look at the people that own the hip hop music labels. They talk all day about hate speech, but yet they put billions of dollars out to fund music where black people are being called the N-word in every other lyric. And then they think that because it's coming out of the mouth of a black man, that nobody's going to notice. That's what this is. That's what this is. They're using these guys for cover. If Barkley and Shaq and LeBron were not black, they would not have been asked to comment on Kyrie Irving. Am I right or am I right? Give me a yes or no if you agree with me. Give me a yes or no. If Barkley, Shaq, or LeBron were not black, they would not be asked to comment on Kyrie. Am I right? So given that they only picked the black guys to talk about the black guy, this is not a Jewish thing. This is a racism thing. This is a black thing. They are very clear. They're probably, oh well, we don't care about race. We would do this no matter what the ethnicity is. No. You know this guy's black, and you know you need black guys for cover. And so Barkley, Shaq, and LeBron, as great basketball players as you were, you probably aren't as good at thinking as you are at basketball. I'm not saying that you need to shut up and dribble, but I'm saying that before you open your mouth, you should probably do some research. You should probably listen to some scholars. Maybe you can go sit down with people like a Dr. Claude Anderson or Professor James Small, who I happened to see at the reparations rally this weekend in DC, and they can explain to you why there is a very valid, legitimate, popular argument that says that black people are the original Jews. This is something that, don't go look it up. I'm not telling you that you have the right, that you can't disagree. I'm just saying that there's a debate about this. There's a conversation about this. So this idea that somehow you've allowed them to trick you into this, you should be embarrassed. You all three of y'all on this picture, you owe the black community a sincere apology because right now you are looking ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Greatest basketball players in the world. All of y'all guys are in the top 50 as far as basketball goes, but right now you're in the bottom 50 when it comes to anti-black racism because you allowed them to use you like a damn sucker. Got you out here fighting, putting your reputation on the line, defending something that shouldn't be defended. The only reason Barkley and Shaq called LeBron an idiot was, I'm not LeBron, I'm sorry, Kyrie an idiot was not because Kyrie did something anti-Semitic. They called him an idiot because they didn't like the fact that he was messing up their money. They didn't like the fact that he was fighting against the pre-existing power structure. So effectively, your logic is Massa say he wrong, so he must be wrong. You did none of your own research. And if you did your research, you would have found out that there are a lot of people who saw this documentary. Let me share this post with you guys. This is really interesting. There was a guy who put up a post, and I thought I had it with me. If I disappear, stay on the line because that just means my Wi-Fi is a little weird. But I had to connect with y'all to talk about this because I feel like this is just so important. But there was a guy who put up a post where he basically said it was a white guy. So I guess the words of white people matter more than black people. And he literally said, "I watched the documentary and there's nothing anti-Semitic about it." Now, I don't know who this guy is. I'm gonna be honest with you, but if you look at this, he said, "I just watched the film. It is not anti-Semitic in any way. There are no tropes. There is nothing at all that would suggest anything but an exploration of the origins of Black culture and its connection to Judaism and Israel. Irving is being set up. It is a complete scam. He's being whipped because of his influence. Anybody who calls this film anti-Semitic has not watched the film. Any corporation that bans Irving is taking him down for other reasons. It's a setup. He's a political pawn. They want him gone," says some white guy on the internet who I don't actually know, but it's very interesting. Very interesting. So give me a yes or no. Do you think that if people are going to criticize Kyrie for a retweet, which is, by the way, that's ridiculous. That makes you as ridiculous as these clowns. Um, do you think that anybody who wants to criticize Kyrie over a retweet, do you think that they should at least watch the documentary to know what the hell they're talking about? Is it too much to say, hey, if you're going to ruin a guy's life, if you're going to take away his livelihood and get him fired from his job, you should at least do some research? I mean, am I crazy? Am I being radical by saying that? I mean, is it okay? Do you guys agree with me that maybe your black ass need to go down and like actually look into it, or are you that determined? Are you that determined to fight for the powers that be, your master, your boss, whoever the hell's writing them big checks for you, that you don't even do your research? That's insanity to me. That's absolute insanity. So right now, these guys are looking like clowns, and really, when you see pictures like this, it reminds you that unfortunately in our community we have some people that are 100% down for a buck breaking agenda. They will do whatever it takes to get money. And I'm a financial expert. My PhD is in finance, and so I can tell you all with complete certainty that money can either liberate you or it can turn you into a bigger slave. And right now in this picture, to use the words of William Roden, you have some 40 million, $200 million, $500 million slaves. You have some very wealthy slaves in this picture. So let me mention this too real quick. On this podcast, we have people that help sponsor, and so one company I would like to mention is breathclean.com. That's one. This is actually the script they sent over. I'm gonna read this directly, and I'm gonna put it on the screen so you can see it. Breathclean.com is a company from Alonzo Hines, and he says it's the first wealth that makes us all others possible is health. We must keep level health wealth. The Volera Air and Surface Pro helps achieve this by using the power of nature to scrub the air and surfaces of viruses, mold, fungi, and allergens. We should breathe better, breathe clean. So if you want to support a black-owned business that's supporting this podcast, please go to breatheclean.com. The second sponsor, I'm going to read the script here. I can't actually see the top of the screen, but I'm going to read this. Essence Tree, essencetree.com. Body and hair care sold in Whole Foods and select retailers nationwide. Our best sellers include products that aid in hair growth, healthy hair tonic, and removal of dark spots and blemishes. Dream Skin, handmade with love and in the ATL by Black women. Go to essencetree.com. Use the discount code BOYCE-B1. So thank you to the Black-owned businesses that help us sponsor this podcast, because y'all know I don't want to go get that Barkley money and that Shaq money, because unfortunately that comes with an automatic reduction of your IQ to the point where you start saying the most ridiculous things. Also, you can protect your master. Now hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, share, subscribe. I'm actually going to go, because believe it or not, I actually ordered some food. So I'm going to go and actually eat dinner in a minute. So I didn't want to take much of your time. I just had to address this issue. But one thing, Dr. Claude Anderson, I told you guys I had an opportunity to spend time with the GOAT today. And we sat there together, and he was teaching as he always does. And he also was actually, I told him I was going to flight school. And he was actually explaining how he used to fly airplanes, and we were talking about the ailerons and the elevators and the rudders and the yolks and the inverse yaw and all these other things. So that's us sort of talking about airplanes together. But one thing Dr. Anderson also shared, I asked him about this Kyrie thing, and he has a lot of information in terms of who the original Jews were and what actually the history of Israel is and things like that. But one thing he pointed out that was very fascinating was he talked about the NAACP. Now, I don't know the background of every person in this picture, but I want you to look at this. I want you to think about this. These are the founders of the NAACP. I will tell you that I'm 100% convinced that the creation and the development of the NAACP has been one of the great anti-Black activities to occur in the last 100 years. I'm not saying the NAACP never did anything good. I'm not saying that the NAACP can't be useful on some level. All I'm saying is that it's incredibly unfortunate when you sort of look at the founding of the NAACP, what it was created for. And I think it's very important to hear the criticisms of the NAACP as it pertains to why Black people really haven't moved forward economically in the last 100 years. So if you look at this picture, you'll see that of the 6 founders of the NAACP, 4 of them are not Black. And I don't know how many of them are Jewish or not. And I'm not here to really talk about Jewish people in a derogatory way. I don't want to get into any of that, because I'm into Black love. I'm not into necessarily fighting or attacking anybody else. But here's the point. Dr. Anderson's argument was very simple. He said that the NAACP made an agreement with people who were not Black. And the agreement was that basically they would pursue social integration for Black people, get you integrated into society, get your Black kids going to white schools so they can shut down the Black schools and fire the Black teachers, get you going to white businesses so you can spend your money with white companies and then end up giving away all your Black-owned businesses. Go work for white folks instead of actually running companies of your own. So therefore, you're losing all your land and your property and your resources and your control. So effectively, you're integrated socially, right? Politically and all these other things. And the trade-off, though, was that they were then allowed to come into your community and actually set up shop and milk you dry. These businesses that are owned by people outside the Black community were then effectively able to come into Black communities and take all the money. They were able to own a lot of the media, own a lot of the hip hop music labels. You all know what I'm talking about. They've been owning these labels for 80, 90 years. And and if you listen to many Black artists talking about what it's been like to do business with a lot of these record labels, y'all know the story. The story is very consistent that this person ripped me off. This person took all my money. They took all my masters. They took all my wealth. They took all the control, etc. So effectively, this is one of the things that sort of makes you, in my view, it should make you question which alliances are beneficial to Black people. Who's really got our back and who doesn't? And I think that this whole situation with Kyrie, when you sort of see Black men lining up to attack him when they weren't even asked to participate, it makes you wonder who asked you to even get involved. Why is this your business? Shaq, Barkley, and LeBron, why did you even have to comment on this? Are you not allowed to say no comment? If that's the case, that must mean you don't have freedom of speech either, which in general, from a very basic fundamental level, should be something that offends any Black person in America and beyond, or really any person that believes in liberty and fairness and equity. So here's my suggestion. Here's my proposal. I'm going to end this conversation on this point. All of these people on the screen owe the Black community an apology. You didn't watch the documentary, but yet you're condemning this guy, and you don't even know what you're talking about. Everybody on the screen owes the Black community an apology. Also, an apology is owed to the Black community from all the people that are running these record labels that are consistently spewing anti-Black rhetoric through the airwaves on a regular basis. They owe the Black community an apology. The NBA owes the black community an apology. The Brooklyn Nets owe the black community an apology. What I'm suggesting is that we do not support any of these entities financially until they make things right. That means that if you live in Brooklyn, and I got a lot of folks in Brooklyn, please spread the word. Give me a yes in the chat if you can take this video and share the link. That's if you could do that. Give me a yes. Let me know if you can do this for me. I would like for you to tell everybody that would go to a Brooklyn Nets game that we should not participate. We should not support the Nets. We should not watch the games. We should not go to the stadium. We should not work for the companies there. Do just whatever boycotting means to you. I think a non-participation should occur right away. Also, even with the NBA, if you're not watching NBA games, don't start. If you're already watching, maybe find something else to watch. I personally believe that we have to make a statement there. Last point I'll make is this. I'm actually calling on us to continue to think, and I've had some conversations in private with people. I'll let you guys know more when the time is right. But I believe that we need to have Black-owned entities that are in music, that are in filmmaking, and also eventually have Black-owned sports leagues. I know that there's work already out there that's being done. Once I see these things, I will ask you all to support them. But really, also, rather than simply boycotting what other people are doing, we have to do more ourselves. So this whole situation really was a blessing from God. This situation was a complete blessing from God. Let me tell you why. It was a blessing from God for a couple of reasons. One, that documentary From Hebrews to Negroes is going to go out and make about 10, 20, 30 million dollars. Congratulations to those filmmakers. You hit a touchdown. Number two, it's going to open up a lot of conversations that other people don't want you to have. The more you suppress freedom of thought, the more you suppress freedom of speech, the more it comes back and bites you in the ass. So now you got millions of black people asking, well, who are the original Jews who weren't even thinking about this topic last week. So congratulations to you, asshole. Everything that you thought was going to happen happened in the opposite direction. The community is more woke. I kid you not. The black community is more woke this week than y'all been for a while. And I just love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. That energy can be translated into something good for all of us. Next, I want you to really educate your families. I want you taking control of everything. Ownership and control is what matters, not being a high paid employee. The Shaqs, the Barkleys, and these guys that we always looked up to because they had good jobs. That's cool. But at the end of the day, you got to own and control things. So teach your kids the importance and the power of ownership and control. What do you own? What do you control? Ladies, you meet a man that says he's a baller, say, what do you own? What do you control? What business do you have? What resources do you own? Are you trying to buy land? What are your economic goals, and how does ownership tie into that? Ownership, and control must be more important than simply getting a nice little paycheck. Ownership and control is how you translate a community, or that ownership and control is how you lead to a transformation in terms of power and prosperity for people all around you. Ownership and control. The reason these guys are all acting like field slaves, or not even field slaves, the field slaves are the good ones. They're acting like house slaves is because they don't own and control much of anything. Shaq, I know he has a few businesses or whatever, but somebody's got his nuts in a vice grip.